always forget that I have YouTube linked as well. So let me do that one because I almost forgot. All right, load this. But how'd you guys do in the mentor group? I know you. Many of you guys caught that trade, I think.
Did pretty good.
Sweet.
$233 in green. I'll take it.
Love it. Well, and those that traded Asia mixed with that play that we got there in the mentor group, you guys should be pretty green. And I'll tell you, a lot of the reasons why I love trading Sunday Asia is when I can have a good Sunday Asia and then I can have a decent little pre-market play. I don't have to really trade anything in market open if I don't want to, right? And so it takes that pressure or that FOMO off you, if you will. But let me adjust something here. Okay. All right, guys. Morning. Let me look at the market here. See how we're still getting that continuation? Isn't it funny, guys, like in the pre-market, when we called the OA here, right, to push there, target was there. I didn't know that we were going to get there. I didn't, when we started to get this breakdown, I didn't think it was going to quite get there right away because the pre-market likes to pull. But it's really cool to see that it went, right? Now, the 1 minute, if you think about it, right, we kind of had that inverse head and shoulder with a little small shoulder there, which is what pushed us to the prior highs. Right there, this would have been in that whole category of the, you got to ask yourself why, right? Now, we didn't get a close below here, but we did close pretty well below there on a bearish structure, and we reclaimed it, right? We were below Lisma, everything. So that doesn't really scream bearish, right? So looking at Neo, it looks like he called a little bearish pressure, but that was probably 9, 10. Yeah, it was right here, right? So it's not really wrong to call the bearish pressure. Larger trend is upwards, but smaller movements are currently leaning downward, creating a little confusion. It's best to wait, strong move in the direction, yada yada on that. So, guys, I had Neo muted. What I'm gonna do today, because I love having Neo here with us because it lets you guys all kind of see him in action. You can listen to his guidance. I want you guys to get used to his guidance. This is most important, right? And I want to interpret his guidance for you. And that's why I'm doing him through open. I don't really intend on always having him going through open. The intent of Neo was not to put him on the side, right, while we do it. I want to stay focused on what we know, what we see, and what I teach. But I have to kind of watch what he's doing as well. So I'm like, for a little while, we'll use him through these sessions. Plus, he needs experience, right? He needs as much market time as he can get. But normally, Neo will not be live until 1 p.m. The goal is, in-game goal, if you will, would be 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. to finish out the close, and then from 6 p.m. to all the way around to 7:30 a.m. is what I want eventually. So that way, at no point in our community do you ever trade or go without guidance. So, Mr. Anderson, all right? So, anyways, guys, let's take a quick look. We got 8 minutes for market open. I think it's going to be a good day. Killzone decided to kind of drop us, and then it reclaimed us. I was thinking we might stay a little bit in there, but we had some rules set up in the pre-market that were for the mentor group, and we ended up playing a lot of this long on the breakout, which was cool. So nice little trade. We did play Sunday Asia, so gonna just mute that really quick and show you guys. So as it was kind of did this nasty drop, it couldn't break the low. If you go out a little farther, right, like this. No, yeah. So when you go out farther like that, right, you can see right here was our low, which is like 926 from the oscillatory move back up. So as we fell, we broke it and then we reclaimed it and we held it. So we actually took longs last night in Asia when we were in the mentor group. So it was really cool because it kind of it played out really well because we were like this. We had a slow kind of fall, and I was like, I don't like it because we're below this kind of descending triangle. We should have dropped. And then I literally mentioned, I'm like, these are like landmines, man. Like and if we don't break this and it reclaims this trend, it's going, right? And then it just jumped. And so we got some really good trades last night on Sunday Asia with it. Kind of played mostly longs in there. It worked out well because you guys remember from last night, those in the mentor group, I said, do not short this top, right? And I'm hoping nobody did because we never came back down. So that played out pretty good. I'm going to delete these old white ones because we don't need these really anymore. So kind of from a kill zone perspective, right, we had a kind of an oscillation here, higher lows. We broke that top, caused the push, created a sweep wick, dropped us down. As it was coming here, I was mentioning that these structures usually create a pretty decent lower low. It started to bounce here, so I was like, maybe. I mean, we still got a lower low, but it just, usually it's deeper than that. So we did end up getting deeper than that. It actually created the lower low than there, which is good. On the reclaim of that, we were mostly looking long, which played out pretty well, as you guys can see. When you look at the indicators here, this was the area we were looking at. We were very congested. Once we broke out of here, it was pretty OA to there. I love flow trading and how it shows us that. And so that was kind of the long play that we waited for. We waited almost the entire session. We didn't jump in. Like, we waited an hour for this setup, most people. I didn't take a trade until up in there. And so that played out really well. Now we're pushing up pretty heavily. 222 is kind of our next, resistance. You guys can see we just breached our high, right, the prior high of that. We're still in pre-market, so I'm curious to see where this goes. So this is going to be, I think, an interesting market open because if I pull this down, right, this is our prior USI. Anything that breaches above that 222 likely is going to try to sweep pretty hard. Now we could push, pull, kind of wiggle because it's market open. It could get crazy. Yeah, news at 10 as well. I think it's existing home sales or something like that, so it's not crazy, right? But it's definitely news. So anything that pushes above kind of 224, which is there, would push us into OA to get to the prior day high, which is 396. The market wants to chase liquidity, so it wants to get to that, but it needs to get through certain things before it can get to that. This right here I have marked orange for a reason. It's a very strong resistance. So come market open, this is going to tell me a lot. If, I'm going to give a couple ifs here for a few minutes. If we breach this in an upward fashion, right, anywhere into here, or even up into here, right, and then we have a big descent, the descent reclaiming that is going to be pretty nasty. So be careful, if you're trying to look for bottoms, right? If we come into here, if we push up, come into here, and we get a nice little structure, and we push up, then that would give us, kind of a better play to kind of get the push, pull, push. Now let's look at the other way. If we sweep this and instantly lose it, it's going to come down to retest these lows, most likely. If it sweeps it, comes down and stays above the 200 or any higher than this low, and then the micro sets up another sweep, right, then that's going to push it again back up. For us to be really bearish, for me, I would want to see either a sweep first that goes deep and then stays below these areas, then it's going to drop again. If it sweeps first, I'm only interested in going long if I come off of these lows or this level here in a structure way, right, back north. The only other way I would want to do a long is if I get above here, right, and I hold that structure, because then, like I said, if we hold 222, we're going straight back to 419. Not opposed to that happening, because think about it, we have a big old drop. We were here, guys, in Sunday Asia Open, right? So for us to get back to there is not way out of bounds from it. The POC is all the way up here, like 271, so we're going to want to remember that number. it's going to be real hard to know exactly where we're going to go until we get market open, because market open can do whatever it wants, right? Indicator wise, we did really well with that. We did bounce off the confluence area here. That's what also gave us some support of taking it. There was a red confluence here that we invalidated. We had a trap call, I think it was south right here that kind of started right there. That was a trap call possible south, but it was right out of a trap call north on a 5 minute. And so 5 minutes typically going to weigh a little bit. Sorry, I gotta stop looking at TikTok. Y'all crack me up with that. Anyways, so that's why the 5 minutes gonna likely invalidate that 1 minute. Now we have the trap on the 5, and we formed the trap on the 1, so that played out really well on both of those. Indicator wise, guys, if you guys see the buys and the sells, the buys have done really well. This sell here would have got in at 92. We got all the way to 72, so it's still $20 scalp. Again, anything for me, anything that is above this 222, I'm not interested in shorting it unless it gets up in this range and then breaks down, because it could just be a long ride up that's going to get you stuck. 5 minute, you can see a little indecision, it looks like, in EU, where it kind of tried to throw a few sells here. We did get a good buy there, flipped down, and got 2 good buys there. So we did get a little... It looks to me like the sells, see the sells, like this one would have played out, but the sells struggled a little more than the buys, which tells you where the pressure is, right? So let's see, guys. We got market open in 1 minute. Again, I always tell you guys, market open, keep your volume low. I was trading, between 5 MNQ and 10 MNQ. Now I'm like down to 1 and 2. So if I'm doing that, y'all probably should too. So let me just make sure all my counts are set so I can make sure I'm clicking things quickly. I'm not making mistakes. Alright, should be good. So we have ding ding ding, right? So we got our big push north. Not really big, but we'll call it a push north. Let's see how this holds, right? So again, we know 222 is a big level. We got a sweep wick for us to get a rear back. Would make sense or be fine. But anything that holds above that is going to be pretty bullish. So we want to be careful and watch. We can look on the micro. This is our prior high, 208. For us to come down and sweep that high and then bounce would be a very strong sign of bullish behavior, and I definitely wouldn't short. If we come in, if we push up here and we cannot consistently hold that high with kind of halfway liquidities in the micro, then it's likely going to try to break down, right? So we got a little push. It wasn't kind of weak for market open, huh, guys? Like, normally you could just look and go, oh yeah, that's market open. And now it's like, it just looks like another damn candle. Even on the micro. That's crazy. We only went up like $30. So let's see where we go here. So for me, guys, I talked to my mentor group about it. Mostly I'm long today just because of more of the macro sense of things, right? Like when you scroll this down, anything held above this area, we run the risk of really pumping. But I'm very careful with where I enter long, because we also run the risk of pulling back pretty heavily into that trend line or pocket, right? And so you got to be really careful. So we want to look for setups. So now we know we have the breach wick here. Any kind of close above there, right, is going to take us to the ORB. We have nothing stopping it there. We have nothing stopping it here. The POC would be 270, right? So it'd be somewhere around there. So now we know that we have the breach wick. We get a pullback. With that pullback, we see the micro is trying to pull it back. The guidance, it looks like he put was bullish pressure, which it was at the time. It's continuing upward, controlling direction because the price is resting near high. Best to wait. So he's saying it's resting, near the prior high, right? And you get to close above the high, which is what we were just talking about. Going sideways. Okay. All right. I'm gonna play his sound, guys. When he talks, I'll shut up, but I'm gonna mute him if I see something really critical. If you guys have questions, also you could either talk and I'll mute him, or put your hand up and then I'll ask you your question on that. But not too impressed with the movement, guys. This is for us being as bullish as we are, the bulls didn't really do anything on market open, right? So be careful. I haven't taken nothing yet. And normally I would jump into something pretty quick, low volume, right, to take that chance. This is going to tell me everything because now that we have a breach wick, the rear back is normal. The rear back here now has created this candle there. A close below that should drop us down to there, right? Anything drop bounce tells you that that's now another bear trap. So I think we saw like 3 or 4 bear traps in pre-market when we were doing it with the mentor group, and so it definitely shows they're definitely trapping more bears than bulls at the time. Remember I was talking about when you push, I would expect it to come back to these highs. It did, and then it's trying to bounce again. We have a little bit of a doji there, trying to set up a hammer. This is good because if it doesn't close below that wick and we go into a hammer, a close above that will likely propel, right? So let's look and see. This is terrible volume for market open though, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy. Okay, so we got a good little push. So remember, we got the hammer, right? Close above these hammers should push it. So now if you want to be kind of safer, right, it's a rear back close above that 34 up in here, right? Breach wick close above would be what you want for strength. Now, we haven't quite got the close on the 1 minute yet. We are flat bottom on the 5 minute. So we want to watch, because if we create a lower high here and we get a close below that low, then that's going to sweep pretty hard. Because it's all the way down to 146, right? For that one. Now, we could see some support within here, but if we're going to create a hammer and a
The
doji
market
here,
structure
well,
exhibits a
let's see what he
clear
says.
bullish alignment across all time frames, with price consistently holding above the 5 minutes in 1 minute EMA 200 in the anchored VWAP. While the most recent price movement shows a pullback from the recent high of 25,237, the sequence of higher lows relative to the 5 minutes LS. MA confirms a macro uptrend, though current 1 minute price action is testing lower levels, requiring a confirmed bounce to validate continuation, sentiment, bullish pressure, confidence. 6 out of 10.
Confirmed bounce,
Reason.
right, would be
The market
reclaiming here.
is trading above all key moving averages in the anchored VWAP on both the 5 minutes and 1 minute time
So we got the lower
frames,
high.
indicating the macro trend remains firmly in favor of buyers. Concerns. The most recent 1 minute price movement shows a pullback
We
and a
get
red
another
hike in
hammer
Ashi
here.
profile, indicating short-term momentum is stalling.
gonna be
Price
interesting.
must hold above the recent low to prevent a structural failure. Summary. The market is currently moving in an upward direction overall, as price remains above key long-term averages. Although the price has recently dipped, it is finding support in an area that typically encourages further growth. It is important to wait for the price to show strength by rising again before considering any new positions. Always be patient and ensure the market confirms its direction before acting.
So think about it here, guys. We are rejecting off there. These are our hammers, and we're closing below it, right? For this to come down, if we go across all time frames here, we know that this is failing with the lower low because it got a lower high, right? When we go into the 5 minute, we know that Lisma is about 159, right there. For us to come back, because we broke Lisma, for us to retest Lisma and then try to bounce off that is normal. If we push and we breach wick Lisma, rear up, and then close below it, then that dump's going to be nasty, right? So, but other than that, this to me is just a little micro failure of that 222, which is, you guys know how my lines, man, the market loves my lines. So, pretty funny to watch that play out. So now that we know, let's look at this. This is huge, guys, because now the volume's picking up. You notice that? So we have the push here, right here. We have a close below. This should take us to there. It did sweep the 200 here. We didn't quite get to Lisma, and we're reclaiming. But this is huge, 196. If we can reclaim 196, it's going to breach wick, and then that would close above it. If we can't reclaim 196, and it hits it, or even if it taps it and absorbs, right, then we got further downside. Because usually this structure should go to here. Right, into these lows and such. So, but if we do get a push, watch the DOM, because see how we're getting these little jumps? those jumps shouldn't be happening if we're truly going to be more bearish, right, if you will. And so let's just kind of keep watching the DOMs there. I want to, as I see stuff, I'll kind of let you guys know. What I'm mostly looking for is we've identified multiple bear traps within our pre-market. And so if we get another, like this right here again, this should go to there. So if we DOM jump enough and we reclaim this low, 196, right, then it's going to breach wick that. Close above would be your safer play, right, because it's almost pretty certain it's going to push from there. The safer play, guys, would be you gotta, if you want to go long, you want to be above this 222, right? If you're taking a risk to go a little earlier, you got to be defensive because we run the risk of pulling, all the way back down to here, right? So you'd have to be a little defensive with it at least. So let's see if we get the push. Again, I'm looking to see if it's going to reclaim this 196. That's the biggest thing to me. I'm just looking to see if I see anything else. No. So where we fell, let's see here, we're on the prior highs. So 180, arguably 176 somewhere. It's not coincident basically that we bounced here, right? So it's finding support on the prior high on the 1 minute. Now it wants to see, is it going to reclaim it on the 15 second? If it does, we're going up. If it rejects here, then it's going to come down and test that again. To me, the DOM is a little weird. The volume's so weird right now for open because we're still getting a little minute DOM jumps, but it's not as easily seen. It's not as easily seen, right, as normal. I'm gonna block this guy. Guys on TikTok and especially y'all know in the room already. Anybody who says join my Telegram, join my WhatsApp, like y'all about to get scammed. Please don't ever do that.
The market structure shows a conflict between the bullish macro bias defined by the 5 minutes in 1 minute anchored VWAP and the immediate bearish price progression on the 1 minute time frame. Current price action is struggling to reclaim lost ground, as evidenced by the series of lower highs following the recent drop toward the 2,517.
Concern though.
5 level. The interaction between the 1 minute LSMA and price indicates that short-term selling pressure remains dominant despite the higher time frame trend holding near support levels. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 4 out of 10. Reason. Price is currently trading below the 1 minute LSMA, and the most recent push lower indicates a failure to maintain
trying to stay low here.
Momentum above the 25,200 region, confirming a short-term bearish bias. Concerns. The 5 minute structure remains bullish and the price is hovering near the 1 minute anchored VWAP, which serves as a significant structural support that could trigger a reversal. Summary. The market is currently experiencing downward pressure as prices have fallen below key short-term levels. While the overall trend remains positive on longer time frames, buyers are not currently showing enough strength to push prices higher. It is best to wait for the market to clearly pick a direction before making a move. Being patient during this period of uncertainty helps keep your capital safe.
So what he's saying basically, right, is that we are bullish on this part of it, right, the macro side of it, and then a lot of bearish pressure coming through, so that's why he's identifying the bearish pressure, which is not wrong. We are getting that. The bulls are not strong enough right now to push it past this level, right, even, which is what I told you they have to really be able to do. They got it a little bit, then they lost it, right? But what he's saying is there is some concern of the fact that the anchored VWAP that he's watching is the fact that we are more bullish on the overall macro side of this, like directional, right? If that VWAP can hold, it could cause a potential reversal, right? And so when he says stuff like that, right, you want to just you got to find your rules, right? This is our high. We know Lisma's there. A breach wick there, close above would be my entry, right? If it comes back down here, breach wick's there, close below, right? Because I have some good OA there. I know that I have the 200 there, so it's not ideal place to do it, but see the reversal and that's where guys like those that are following Neo, he's not buy sell signal, man. Y'all get in that rut of all these other communities, and the norm of like, I want to buy sell signal, like tell me where to go. He's a coach. I'm not allowing him to really give it a buy sell signal style. I want him to just interpret the market for you, right? For now. Eventually, maybe down the road, we'll let him do buy sell signals, but not now. But he's just a coach. So, think about it this way. The top part, he's just telling you what he sees, right? Think of it like if you were to be dropped off somewhere, right, and they had you blindfolded and took it off and they said, okay, tell me what you see. You're going to just say what you see, right? Then he's going to say, okay, where's the pressure coming in? Is it bearish or bullish? It doesn't mean we're going bearish. It doesn't mean we're going bullish. It's just that's the pressure. How strong is the pressure that's coming in, right? Why is he saying that he sees the bearish pressure or thinks that we might go down, right? And then what is his concerns? His concerns are, to me, almost as if not more important than the rest of it, because that's where, as a trader, I want to say, okay, he sees bearish pressure, he sees the downslope, he's got good reasoning for it, but his concerns are, we're at a level that can, like he did this the other day, right, where he was just like, we're at a level that could really bounce. It's done it before, right? And so his reasoning, his sentiment weren't wrong, but his concerns were very, very right. And so a lot of times I do this even, so if you guys end up doing it too, when he starts talking, I jump straight to what is your concern, because as a trader, that's the most important thing to me, right? Like I already kind of know that we're headed more north and I see the bearish pressure, but like, what is your concerns about the bearish pressure? And if his concerns are validated, right, then I'm going to go back the other way, right? Yeah, it kind of breaks it down, Steven. I love that thing, right? You can almost kind of learn just from watching Neo. Think about it, right? He's going to give you all the technical jargon of trading, and then he's going to summarize it for you. So you almost can kind of learn just watching him. So, and anybody in TikTok, if you guys want to watch him, he's free to watch. You just register on the website, and then you can click on the AI session here, and you can watch him. He's not normally on in these sessions right now, so if you go off the page, you might lose the history because he's not really supposed to be on. I'm kind of forcing him on. But let's just analyze this, guys. So we end up reclaiming that area that I said we should reclaim. We didn't even breach wick here. Remember, you'd want to breach wick, close above. That would be your long play. We didn't breach wick there. We came back down. Now we lost it. For them to sweep the high, minute compression, for them to sweep the high, pull back, sweep the low, makes sense. Now, for the low to continue, I'd want a breach wick of, here, that 55, and then a close. That would be your little scalp there. But we also have the 200 here, right? So as this 200 is kind of coming up, if we hit
The market is currently in a state of
close, we're gonna
conflicting
drop.
signals where the 5-minute time frame retains.
I'll mute him for a second. If we come into here, breach wick this, rear up, close below, that drop's gonna be nasty. If we hit the 200, this being our low, and we get enough bounce to reclaim that low, then we'll see an inverse of it, right? Now we know that we have broken into Lisma and it's curling, right? So when Lisma curls like this, a lot of times it likes to stay in this range until it kind of curls a little, and then it does its little rear back. But
Second
let's
time.
look at it.
Frames are misaligned with the broader 5-minute trend. The market lacks the necessary structural clarity for a high probability entry. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. Price is trading below the 1-minute LSMA and 15-second EMA, signaling short-term bearish dominance. While the recent price history shows a recurring failure to sustain upward momentum. Concerns. There is a significant conflict between the longer-term 5-minute bullish structure and the immediate bearish 1-minute trend, indicating a high probability of choppy, range-bound behavior rather than a clear breakout. Summary. The market is currently confused, with short-term prices falling while the broader trend remains up. Because there is no clear direction, it is best to wait for the market to choose a path rather than trying to guess the next move. Trying to trade in this uncertain environment often leads to unnecessary losses. Patience is your most important tool right now.
So he's not really wrong, right? What's up, Andrew?
If the market's confused, then I might as well not guess.
Right. And that's what I love, we talked about that, right? Is even if he just gives you a little patience and discipline or hesitation, he's doing his job, right? So, and he's not wrong, really, right? Because if you think about it, we failed to break and hold a very critical level. That usually gives us a pretty good rear back. For us to rear back, we got to hold above this support here, or at least the 200. If we do that, right, then it's going to try to come back up and hit that area again. Inherently, I think based on the trends and things that are going on, right, the market wants to go back up a little further. But, so you guys know on the 15 second, for us to get a hit, rear back, hit again is normal. Now, the problem of this is that our rear back could come as low as these lows, right? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we're push, pull, push, right? Now, for me, this is a big level, I think 177 right in here. We want to hold that. If we hold that, it's going to jump, right? Because now we're a breakout of these highs that were just nasty. As long as we keep bouncing above those highs, right, it's a more probability of a jump than a drop. So that's why I'm not interested much on shorting. So keep in mind, guys, it could go down, and I know people will be like, man, that was a 50-point move you could have got, and that's fine. I don't care. Like, my FOMO is gone. And see these jumps? That's what I'm saying, right? So see how the jumps are playing? And so if you look at him here, right, he's saying bearish pressure, which it was. He gave his reasons. His concerns, right, is that it's choppy. He needs a clear breakout. He doesn't like it right now, right? So a clear breakout would be, we got our highs here. We need a breach, close above, and then that would be your clear breakout, if you will. So for me, I'm doing, because I can't watch it. I'm trying to watch your TA. I just do my entry exit, and so I'm doing pretty good so far on playing the longs with the jumps. That long right there just gave me a really good one. So I'm up like 8-12 on that, my funded one now.
Dang, that's huge.
See what I was saying though? Like when you hit this, that rear back, as long as we hold that low and it reclaims this low, it's big, right? Isn't that funny how much that plays out, Cody?
Yeah, that's wild. I'm finished off the eval with that.
If anybody wants to know what a landmine looks like, it's like walking down a
Golly.
path and then so anybody on TikTok, if you ever want to learn how to play the landmine so you can make $800 on the landmine like that, then versus being the retail getting stuck in the landmine going, why did it just jump? That's what I teach, right? And so I'm a big fan over many years of beatings of trying to play the market like a retail. Now I think of it like a retail, and then I think about it, what does it need to do to trap a retail, right? And then I play the inverse, and I've been doing that for some time. So far last night we remember we called that
The market is displaying strong bullish
this one here.
alignment across all
So,
time frames. The
guys,
5 minutes
I'm gonna
and
mute him for a second because I gotta talk about cautions here. This is our prior day ORB, right? We can definitely reject here. If we breach wick, pull back, close above that, it's like just going, guys. Remember I said this in the pre-market, guys, that we want to get up to this 419, I think. Now, it doesn't have to go there directly. We could hit here, breach wick, pull all the way back to here, which would just be a normal push, pull back to the high, and then push, right? It would be within what it should do. So part of what I do, as you guys know, but those of you on TikTok may not, I teach you to be anticipatory, right? That way, if I go, hey, I'm in a long, and I'm expecting a possible pullback, you don't freak out, because it's a normal behavior for this thing to breach a high, pull back, hit that high, and then from there it's either going to jump again or it's going to collapse that high, and then we're going to fall, right? So let's run risks. POC is at 270. On the micro, if we lose that 270, it's going to give some steam to retest this high, which is around 231. If we hit that 231 or anywhere in here and push up with some violence, then it's going to give us pretty good probability to push up, right? Again, so part of what I was saying in pre-market just before open is that when you get a lot of condensed, averages within here, and you break into that OA, especially when the market prior day high is here, it wants to get to that prior day high. It's probably going to get to that. It's pretty, like, I don't, if I had to put a probability, it's pretty high, like maybe in the 80s, right? So because you have so much support here. Now, we're in market open area, and so, can it just sweep it? Sure, but the market usually wants to take the least path to the least resistance, right, to liquidity. There's really no greater liquidity than prior day high, prior day low. So when it gets up into these levels, I mean, it's just shocking if it doesn't. Now, here's what's going to be interesting for today. If we push up here, right, and we begin to break down, that fall could be really nasty if it breaks back below a lot of key levels. if we push above here, breach wicket, and we just kind of hold, or let's say we push way above and we hold here, do not short that, guys, because it's like this indicator ain't got nothing. You know, and I think we got, yeah, once we get past 419 on my 1 minute, I have nothing till like 869. So do not short at all. Like, I don't care how high it goes or how bearish it looks. It's not worth it. So, but yeah, so far so good on the buys on that. So let's see what he said. I did mute him. I'm going to unmute him. He's got 2 minutes before he'll say it again. Let's just read the summary. Well, let's read the concerns. So 15-second Lisma slope provided a snapshot is slightly negative, not bad, slightly, which appears to be a lagging indicator given the aggressive bullish expansion observed on the 1 minute time frame. It's important to be mindful of chasing price after such a strong initial push as a shallow pullback before further continuation is possible. So basically he's saying we had a big old push. Chasing the push is dangerous. You want to have at least some kind of pullback before you choose to re-enter, which is great advice. So we know from what I teach, a push with a halfway liquidity now allows us to go back up or to collapse, right? So now we just got to determine, are we going to go back up or are we going to collapse, right? And so to do that, we want to see the DOM, right? We got the dojis, close above it would push it back up, close below, right, would push down. We also want to look at our prior highs. We did end up bouncing on those highs, which does suggest that it should try to go back up again. So let's take a look at that and see. So it's getting a little push. Plus we're trying to hold support on the 222 as well. Right, so let's take a look and see how that plays. I want to also see if I get any traps up here, which I don't seem to have yet. The trap indicator we have, guys, this thing is so sick. I mean, it's just playing out all day on those. All day. That indicator you put together there, Paul, is pretty fancy.
The 5 minutes and 1
Alright,
minute
let's let
time
him do
frames
his
show a
thing.
clear bullish alignment as price remains well above the 5 MEMA 200 and the 1 minute anchored VWAP, while the most recent price action shows a pullback from the recent high of
You guys can hear him all right,
25,297 toward the 25,230 support zone. The structure
Okay.
remains intact, supported by the 1 minute LSMA currently acting as a base for potential continuation. This setup reflects a consolidation phase within an uptrend, requiring a confirmed bounce off current support levels to justify further upside participation. Sentiment: bull-ish pressure. Confidence: 6 out of 10. Reason: the market maintains a structural uptrend across all time frames, with price consistently trading above key moving averages and the anchored VWAP, confirming that buyers remain in control of the primary direction. Concerns: the most recent push encountered strong rejection at the high, leading to a volatile pullback that has yet to demonstrate a clean structural base for a secondary move higher. Summary: the market is currently moving in an upward direction, though it is taking a brief pause after reaching a high point. It is safer to
like
wait for
taking
the
a breath.
price to stop falling and start moving upward again before considering any action. This helps ensure that the trend is truly continuing rather than reversing. Patience is necessary until the price shows clear strength above its recent stopping point.
So, and what he's observing is not wrong, right? So you think about it, we had a big old push. He's concerned we went pretty high. He's a little concerned of how hard we pulled back. Now, what he doesn't know, because we're still injecting this portion of it, is that a pullback here is normal as long as we stay above these prior highs and we're within halfway of that push, right? Because now it's like a liquidity clear, if you will. So, yeah. And so that's so far is, I think, playing out really well. Let me look at something. Yeah, so let's watch that, because the key here, guys, is going to be that halfway liquidity that we just did. Just looking at one thing on my trade here. So the halfway liquidity that we just did here, when it does this halfway on a tap on the prior high like that, and we get the doji close above, that usually gives you that push. So I want to watch the micro and see, is there any like, inverted hammers, absorption to the south, watch the DOM, are we getting deep sweeps? Now, any kind of sweeps above here, high or low, is fine. But to have some true strength, right, the way that this showed, a push here wants to create a higher high, right? It typically is going to. Now, let's keep watching concerns, never get complacent. So our POC is here, 72. So it's pretty close to where it's starting to reject, right? So now that we're creating a little compression on the POC, a close above there is what would give us that confirmation for that higher high. Any kind of close below here is going to pull us back, right, in that area. So let's just kind of keep it there. I'm watching the DOM. We're still getting some pretty good DOM pressure jumps. See that jump? It doesn't really scream bearish yet, so on it. So let's look. So a close above there should give some decent propulsion. So let's watch it. Now we know we have a lot of OA back in here that we definitely can collapse and reject back down to. So we are flat bottom on the 1 minute, you know, pretty well. Still getting those little DOM jumps. Y'all see that? Let's see. So we got our high. We should get up to here.
News in 1 minute.
93. Yeah. So, oh, we got news in 1 minute, guys. Yeah. I mean, it's not crazy news, so, you know, just make sure you got TPs in place, guys. So it's not crazy news. I mean, it could impact it though. So you got about 15 seconds for that. All right, I'm gonna take profit on mine because it's pretty close to where I was gonna put my TP anyways, and I don't want to risk it for the news because my funded one I'm on is intraday, guys. So on that one now you can see I'm up, you know, 1190. So doing pretty good on the scalps long with that. Good old Neo's guidance. I want to see, what I like to watch is how he treats the news, right? Because he doesn't know news. We actually have, like, we're working on a connection into him to get him to see the news, but we're still working on that. I'm going to refresh my page too, which, there we go. Just so this shows the market open like it's supposed to.
Hello, I'm Neo. Let's capture the move.
Hello, Neo. All right, see the push, guys? So you kind of see how that played out. Push, halfway liquidity on the top, pushes up into compression on the POC.
The 5-minute time frame shows a bullish trend with the LSMA and EMA. 200 trending higher, indicating sustained buying pressure. The 1-minute time frame aligns with this, showing a bullish LSMA and EMA 200, with price breaking the recent high. The 15-second time frame also displays bullish momentum, supporting the upward movement. This confluence across timeframes suggests a valid continuation setup. Sentiment. Bullish pressure. Confidence. 8 out of 10. Reason. The 5 minutes in. 1 minute timeframes exhibit a clear bullish structure with higher highs and higher lows implied by the upward progression. Price has broken above a recent consolidation high on the 1 minute timeframe, confirmed by bullish momentum on the 15 seconds timeframe. Time frame alignment is strong. Concerns. While price has broken higher, I need to observe sustained follow-through and acceptance above the breakout level. A rapid reversal without holding the new high would invalidate this setup. Summary. The market is showing strength across multiple timeframes, with price moving higher and breaking through recent resistance. This indicates potential for further upward movement as buyers are in control. Traders should watch for price to continue its upward trend, confirming the strength. Dot.
I don't know why he says the dot at the end of that, guys. We cannot figure that out. Doesn't say a dot on any of the other ones, but he likes that last one every now and then. What I love that he did here, guys, just, again, knowing behind the curtain, he's in this, like, mode where sometimes he says we or our, and I'm like, dude, this is your show. Like, you need to refer to it as, like, I, me. This is my call. Like, own it, right? And that's, you notice how he's been doing a lot of, like, our and we, and, like, this is, I think, the first time I've seen him actually catch on to what we're trying to tell him, where he's like, while the price is broken higher, I need to see. Isn't that cool? Have you guys heard him say that before? I haven't heard him, I don't think, say I like that, like own it. All the thumbs up.
No, that was the first time I'd heard him say it.
Yeah. It's really cool to watch him evolve, man, with that. So again, the concerns, we need some follow through, or we're going to get some rapid. See, remember I talked about words, right? When he starts using words like rapid reversal, that doesn't scream jump back into a long, right? So let's analyze it. We know we have a deep push. We're coming out of a resistance zone on that one. We've already cleared the entire gap fill on that. We are above the POC, but to pull back now that we've broken it, to do a pullback to retest it wouldn't shock me. This high is going to be huge, 98 again, because if we hit here and we kind of sweep it and reclaim it, it's going up again. Remember, like I told you, I think the market wants to get somewhere in here. This is going to be a make or break. We're either going to hit that and dump like a nut, or we're going to explode through this and it's just going to be a massively bullish day. I think, and those in my Sunday Asia session heard me say all this. Remember, this is part of what I teach. You want to get off of thinking about the market like a retail, because when you think of it like a retail, right, that's all you really see. And the problem is, like last night I seen so much news and people even saying like, oh man, Trump said this about, the straight, and he said that, and they're, and we saw the market dump like 400 points instantly. So in the normal retail scheme of things, I promise you a lot of people are like, oh, we're about to dump on market open because of everything going on, right? Because we get too biased on the news. And remember, the news is going to tell you what they want to tell you, right? And so I promise you there's a lot of people, and if you're out there on TikTok, stuck in a short, you're probably not alone. But there's a lot of people that are trying to short all this, right? Each time it breaks down, right, they're maybe they caught the move up, but they're trying to short the move down, right? So inherently they're thinking we're more bearish than bullish because of the fact that the news that came out was more bearish, right? And so
The market exhibits strong
we'll let
structural
Neo do
alignment
his
across
thing.
all time frames, with price consistently holding above the 5 minutes in. 1 minute 200 EM is trending upward against the anchored VWAP, while the most recent price movement shows a minor pullback and consolidation. The persistent bullish slope of the LSMA indicators suggests the macro momentum remains firmly in control of the buyers. This setup represents a potential continuation, provided price clears the recent high without failing to hold subsequent support levels. Sentiment: bullish pressure, confidence, 7 out of 10. Reason: price is trading above the 5 M and 1 minute EMA 200, confirming a structural uptrend. The 1 minute breakout of the recent high and the alignment of the LSMA slopes reinforce the intent for higher prices. Concerns: the current price is experiencing a minor pullback after a sharp push, and the presence of a 1 minute doji indicates a brief moment of indecision. A failure to reclaim and hold the recent push would invalidate the bullish thesis. Summary: the market is currently moving in an
Bullish
upward direction.
thesis.
As buyers maintain control over the overall price levels, you should look for the price to consistently stay above its recent averages to confirm that the trend will continue. If the price struggles to push past its recent highs, it may be a sign that the momentum is weakening. Always wait for clear evidence that the price is heading back up before considering any new positions.
Yeah. So his advice is not terrible on that, right? We have really good bullish pressure where everything lines up, right? His concern is, we're getting a minor pullback after a very sharp push, presence of, dojis, showing that it's kind of taking a brief pause, right? This is where I like to revert to my micro of like prior highs. Oh, guys, be careful. I just got a little update, and I don't have many of these. It says U.S. just announced that they're actually going forward with imposing the whole like straight restrictions or presence, like they're sending ships there. So this is gonna be interesting. We'll see if it impacts it, but let's keep it to technicals. Again, prior high, right? So if we push up, hold that prior high with any kind of push, it's pretty good probability you're gonna get another prior high, which we did. Now, if that prior high doesn't go strong enough, like I taught measure moves in development, right? Where this one, when it came back and push, we created a higher high pretty significant before pulling back to test the prior high. This time we pushed up and we kind of create a little weak high. Now it's not done yet. We haven't closed below there, but if we close below here and lose that, that's our first real sign of weakness, right? Now we are getting into an area that is going to have a lot of resistance. We do have a hammer, inverted hammer forming on the 1 minute. So pretty decent possibility, right, of a pullback here. Now, as a top and bottom trader, guys, I normally would be looking for a short here. So that should be causing a little bit of pause in my longs, because I know we can get to there, and that's about an $80 move. So I could still, like, as this pulls back, take micro scalps north or scalp it north. But the closer I get to there, I'm out. And honestly, guys, you guys know in the classes that I teach, anything in this red area, I don't want a long or short, because I don't know if it's going to break out of it or it's going to break back out of it, right? So that's kind of a no trade zone to me. And so I had only taken one more little scalp. It wasn't nothing crazy, like $100. So I'm at $12.88, but now I'm waiting. I ain't taking nothing, because I want to see what this does. Because as long as we create a higher low and we hold this prior high, it's going to jump again. But if we breach this prior high, right, that's going to come with a pretty decent pull. And where we are in this range, as high as we've pushed, right, I almost want it to kind of give me a good pull. Now, another thing I'm interested to see is we do have a shoulder kind of head, shoulder forming. Now, it's a really low head, so you could argue it as a triple top. I don't really care. They do the same thing. Macro, we're still flat bottom unless we break below 286. I think taking a short is very risky unless you get back below 270. That's just my opinion. Because we're really bullish. You got to see some kind of weakness. Those of you that struggle to find consistency, I'm going to tell you the best advice I can ever give you is stop chasing tops and bottoms. Like all of them, right? In this community, many of you guys have seen me call it and say, hey, we're getting weakness. If we get a close below there, we're probably going to come to here. And then I won't take it. I don't trade that because it's against my rules or my longer term plan, right? Or maybe what you're comfortable with. But I'll let it come down and then I'll take it back up, right? Or I'll let it break an area like here. Like, I don't want to touch nothing in here, right? But if it breaches here, closes there, that's OA. Like, to me, this is where I'm like, okay, I'm down to take a short. I'll short the hell out of that because there's so much room. But I don't want to take shorts against the grain of being above literally every single, well, we have this one, but we're above every single one of these. It doesn't scream like, hey, jump into a short, right? Now, if you want to scalp, like if this does, the breach wick close below and you want to just kind of get quick runs, that's fine, but you do not take a long play. You're not going to get a long play out of it right now. Not the way it looks, so. But guys, if you're in TikTok, if you want to come in, it's free. Even the live trading we're doing right now is free. I'm going to show you guys. It's right there. We're on Google Meet. So you guys can do it to register, come in to the Google Meet if you want for free. So all you have to do, real quick, and then all you have to do, guys, is come in here, register, and then you click on the green thing here like that, and it goes straight to the Google Meet. If you want to watch Neo for free also, you just click on AI Analysis, and there's old Neo on there. But what's up, Mike?
I was just saying good morning. I'm a little late to the party.
Oh, what's funny is when you waved is when I was talking about shorting, and I'm like, oh, Michael, don't tell me you're in a short. I mean, it's, I'm not opposed to it, but that's why I was like, yeah. I thought you were like, I'm in a short. I was like, oh, man.
I took a real quick scalp on that. It was like 3 seconds and made 55.
The market exhibits sustained bullish structure across all time frames.
You can keep good. I'll read it afterwards.
I was just saying that I took a real quick short on that because I saw it like respecting a line that I had, and I made $55 on it. That's the only trade I've taken this morning.
Yeah, there you go. And again, I'm not opposed to shorting. You just got to do it in scalping, right? Because think about it. We have flat bottom. Now we're starting to doji, right? In 2 minutes, if this doji closes below and we get back below this POC, that fall is going to be pretty nasty. I almost want it to happen. I'm sitting here rooting for it in my mind because I want to take more longs, and I don't want to take a long way the hell up here, right?
Yeah, not at
Bring
the
this
top.
sucker all the way back here. I'm cool with it. And then when it comes back up and reclaims this, guess what? I'm going to make another 12, 1300. Right. And that's the biggest thing, guys, that you all should really continue to learn. And I know everybody who's found consistency and success recently, that's what they'll tell you, right? Is you don't have to take every move. You got to clear your FOMO. Just because you call it, don't mean you have to take it. I do it all the time. Like I'm calling, this is likely going to try to breach wick, close below, and we'll get a sweep to there, but I'm not going to take it. Right? Just because it's against what my plan is today. So you can see we're starting to try to play out, right? Now, I know the reason why I'm also not going to take it, I know that that rule tends to play out heavily, but I also know that I have the POC right at 270. And if it comes down here and hits here and then bounces and reclaims that POC, man, that's going to be nasty. So I'm more comfortable. If I want to take a short scalp, I want to try to find areas that are just true open air, right? Because we're against the trend, right? The momentum is northern. So if I take here and I say this is pretty good open air, right? You got $60 or so. Then I want to look over and say, okay, my 1 minute has a little bit of issue there. My 1 minute has issue there. My 1 minute has issue there, right? So there's a lot of issues on my 1 minute that the 15 seconds not showing me. Then I go to my 5, my issue is there, but when I get below that, I don't really have any issues except for maybe there, 239, right? Because that's our prior high, right? Anything else, you know, we'll let it go. Now, from a trap perspective, we know around 164 is area of trap, right? So anything up there is pretty OA. I know I got the 382 here, so the close below there is pretty OA. So it's, you know, again, arguably, it could and probably even should come back a bit the way this is looking. And you remember the first sign of weakness is we have that, you know, we have this push, pull back, and then this push went high enough to hold support of that one to give another push. This push did not go very high. That's not a sign of strength in the bulls, right? Usually it's a sign of weakness, which will bring it back down. So, but again, you know, if you're one that likes the shorts and you like to get in and out, you can do that. But I like to wait. You know, I don't need to take every trade.
The
So,
declining Heiken
let's
Ashi
see what he
candle in
says.
LSMA below the EMA 200. The 15-second time frame shows some bullish momentum, but this is not sufficient to overcome the bearish bias present on the 1 minute time frame. Given the conflicting signals between the higher and lower time frames, I do not see a high probability entry setup. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. The 1 minute time frame is showing signs of weakness with a red Heiken Ashi candle and the LSMA trending below the EMA 200, which contradicts the bullish bias on the 5 minute time frame. Concerns. Lack of alignment between the 1 minute and 5 minute time frames, and the 1 minute structure is not yet confirmed as a reversal. Summary. The market is showing mixed signals across different time frames. While the longer-term trend is positive, the shorter-term trend is currently showing signs of weakness. This means it is not a good time to enter a trade as the direction is unclear. We need to wait for clearer signals before considering any trades.
For considering any trades. One sec. All right. So you guys see what I mean, though. You know, as it's approaching 10:20 and almost at the 10:30, I'm not in a trade now. Does that make sense? Kind of how I've kind of identified that early weakness, and my expectation was that this is likely to come to there. I don't know that it's going to break this yet. I'd have to see, but pretty cool how you see that weakness on the micro, right? Yeah, pretty cool. I don't know. To me, looking at the DOM, it looks like it wants to break this, but we're kind of sandwiched right now. again, I'm not going to try to chase this bottom, guys, because if it breaches these certain areas, it could go pretty deep. The basis of here, remember we took on the 5-minute Lisma play. We're still holding Lisma. So for us to come test Lisma is possible. I mean, we can get all the way down to 198, right? So, any questions for those of you guys in the open session? I see we got a few new guys in here, so don't hesitate to ask questions, guys. We do. I do kind of open teaching. If I see something crazy, then I'm gonna pause the question. But if you guys have questions, let me know. If you're interested in learning more, if you don't know what I'm all fully talking about, you guys can always go to the website, and I do a development program. I also do mentoring. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I have 7 now that I have scheduled to talk to through this week for the mentor program. That would put us, I think, at like 38 or 9 or something like that. And once I get to 50, I'm not taking anymore. So if you even have the inkling of being interested in wanting some mentoring, I don't charge you to get on a call and talk about it, right? You just go in, say you're interested, I'll reach out to you, we'll book a call, we'll get on and talk about it. I don't charge you. So I don't want you guys paying for nothing on the site until you are confident in what you're seeing, what you're getting, right? So on that. But the development program is there. What's up?
Highly suggested. If you can jump in on that before he hits the 50 number, it's a great deal.
I appreciate it, Scott. Yeah, Scott's part of my mentor program for, I think you're probably one of the OGs, the originals in it. Right.
Yeah, I was one of the first.
Yeah, you were the first. Actually, you were the first. Yeah, because remember, you actually helped me structure what it evolved into now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And I'm telling you, it's really transitioned into a special program.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's such a good group, and the energy is great. And I love it because everybody's kind of been handpicked and spoken with at least. And so, we have a private group chat that I don't even
The
feel
market
like I have to babysit.
is currently undergoing a structural
great.
conflict where the 5 minutes time frame maintains a macro bullish bias above its EMA 200, yet the 1 minute price progression is characterized by a sequence of lower highs and lower lows. Although the 1 minute price has attempted a breakout, the recent failure to hold gains above prior resistance levels
I love
suggests
when
the
he says
current
gains.
downward
I don't know why.
momentum is dominating the immediate execution window. The divergence between the 5 minutes bullish trend and the 1 minute bearish price
Oh, he's got a little
progression
divergence.
makes this an environment defined by corrective volatility rather than clear trend continuation. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. The 1 minute price progression shows a consistent series of lower highs
Ooh, look at the concern.
and lower lows, coupled with a 1 minute LSMA trend.
I'm going to mute it. This is why I say jump straight to the concerns. I'm interested to see how this plays out. It remains bullish above the 200 EMA, creating conflict that threatens to trap shorts. Additionally, the 1 minute anchored VWAP is acting as a potential underlining support. When he says things like trap shorts, man, I'd love to see this thing just jump right
Between
now.
a broader upward trend and a more immediate downward slide.
Last time he did that, it played out
Because
really
these
well,
two
so.
time frames are pulling in opposite directions, it is difficult to determine which way the price will move next. It is best to wait for the market to pick a clear path before deciding to participate. Exercising patience during these conflicting periods helps preserve your capital.
Yeah, so in a sense, he's saying we got bearish pressure, which we do, right? He's not super confident in the bearish pressure. But I always listen to the words that he says, or read the words that he says, right? And you're up 320 on your evals, Andrew. Nice. I don't know, man. Anytime he says trap or violent or that shit just goes. Look at this jump. If this just jumps, get out of here. This will be like the 5th time he's called it in like a short amount of time. Isn't that crazy? Is that nuts, guys? Look, I'm telling you, I'm going to make him into a little mini-me, man. He's going to be over there, guys. Look, we got a landmine coming. I'm going to make him start saying, if I was a market maker, but I'm going to tell him he can only say it when he's like, like, think about it, like, AI is so fascinating because I could literally tell him, like, look, now you know how to trade. Now you know how to do this. Now you know how to do that, right? Now I want you to pretend like your sole job is to wreck retail and give out guidance that says, things like this is a retail setup. If I were a market maker, I would wreck you by dropping it there and reclaiming it. Right? Like, I'm going to, maybe not wreck. I don't want him out here thinking he's threatening people. But, you know, that's what I want him to evolve to. It's going to take time. I don't know. Like, I thought he would take months because, you know, we're new with the evolution of how we're creating the AI with this. At least I am. And so, but the pace that he's learning and things he's saying is crazy. But this is like the fifth time where, this is why I said, guys, the most important thing of this to me as a top and bottom trader is his concern. Because in a nutshell, he's like, hey, you know, we're south, we're playing south, be careful. Because, you know, this is a bullish thing, but it could create a conflict, which is a possible trap, right? And we're seeing that. Also, be careful, guys, on your trades, because with that news that I told you that came out, we could see some crazy volatility as they respond to it. Right? We definitely could see some crazy volatility. So this is going to be a real big one for me because when you look at it, right, we now have a push. This was the trap where he called, you know, watch out for the trapping shorts. That played out good. It was like a $50, $40 move. We just dropped $50 and reclaimed it, right? So if now we have two absorption candles, so it's a little tricky. This is the high, this is our low. If we stay internal, we breach the high, it's going to jump really bad, right? If we come down and breach this low, it's going to drop really bad. So let's watch it. On the 1 minute, we also have the same candle. We know that the prior ORB is there. We know that anything above here runs the risk of jumping. But we also know that, you know, we're still kind of due for a possible pullback, right? So we want to kind of be careful. The DOM is suggesting more of a northern play than a southern, as far as what it looks like to me. But let's see, right? We're below our Lisma, so we have a breach wick. Close above here is what would really signal the move. Right, that would be your kind of go ahead. Let's look at the prior highs here. I'm just checking something. Yeah. If it, again, even though we pushed, swept, I'm telling y'all, like, I want to see this thing break because of him saying the whole, like, we could be trapping shorts. I just want to see, like, I love when seeing him be right? Because that's the whole point, is we want him to get better, smarter. With AI, he can see things that you can't see, right? And so as he gets better and smarter and learns, sometimes he calls some stuff and I'm like, where do you see that? Like, he said bullish pressure one time. I'm like, I don't see any bullish pressure. Like, what? And then it actually played out. I was like, oh. So let's just watch the DOM, because we're in a very tricky area, right? We're below Lisma.
The
But we have
5
a
minutes
hammer.
and 1 minute time frames show a bullish structural foundation, with price trading above both the 5 minutes EMA 200 and the 1 minute anchored VWAP, indicating underlying support.
says that the
However,
buyers
the
are
1 minute price action shows a recent struggle to
Currently
maintain
losing the
higher levels
immediate
after a
battle.
wide
Interesting.
ranging push, and the 15 seconds time frame is currently experiencing short-term bearish pressure as it tests lower liquidity. The current market state is in a transition phase where the primary bullish trend is being challenged by local selling, making it a lower probability environment for immediate entry. Sentiment: bullish pressure, confidence, 4 out of 10. Reason: the broader 5 minutes and 1 minute structure maintains a bullish bias as price holds above the anchored VWAP and the 5 minutes EMA 200, signaling that buyers still have long-term control. Concerns: the 1 minute LSMA and 15 seconds LSMA indicate conflicting short-term momentum and the recent inability to sustain. The most recent push suggests that buyers are currently losing the immediate battle. Summary: the market is currently showing signs of a
What am I talking
potential
about here?
pause in its upward trend. While the overall direction remains positive, prices are fluctuating in a way that suggests temporary indecision. It is best to wait for a clearer signal that the price can consistently move higher before considering any new positions. Staying patient now will help avoid getting caught in this choppy and unpredictable.
I'm gonna mute him. So in a sense, what he's saying, right, is we're bullish, but the bulls are starting to lose the battle a little bit, which is kind of showing, right? I mean, he's seen something that you can't see now. We are still in kind of a compression area, and again, we're in a high and a low of an absorption candle to the north. We break the high, we're going up in a big way. We break the low, we're going down in a big way. So when he says, be patient, wait for confirmation, right? I need to identify that and say, okay, if I get the breach here, close here, I'm going long, right? But if I get the breach here, close there, I'm going short. This is kind of the break, right? That's when he's saying kind of be patient on that. So let's wait and see. For me, to sweep this low and then reclaim this low is what would give enough propulsion. Other than that, it's just struggling to break Lisma. It can't break Lisma right now.
Do you know how to set up Lisma on TradingView?
I don't know what you mean. Like, yeah, well, from our indicators, yeah. I mean, you can do Lisma. It's on the free there, but as far as the settings, it's kind of secret sauce in there. But
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, there's a free one in there, but you can either get flow trading there, or you can get the 1 minute liquidity framework. Either one of those have that on there. So let's see. So what I'm watching here, guys, is when you get this type of setup and a close below there, it should pull to there. If we channel and breach up and close up, right, then that's a kind of a push, not quite halfway, right, but it's holding this prior high, right, which shows more support than drop. So that's what I'm kind of watching. We are at 10:30, guys, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, if this makes some sense to you, my style of trading is unique. I did not learn it in a book. I did not learn it on YouTube. Just years of kind of honing it. And so if it makes some sense, but not full sense, you're welcome to join the development program. And in there is where I teach you guys kind of a little deeper as to what it's interpreting, right? And so it'll also help you interpret Neo in there as well. So having this type of push, testing that high, we get a close above here, should cause propulsion, guys. And if we don't create even a higher high here and we get any kind of doji pull, it's going to be a really bad inverse. So because it really, the way this candle is, the way this candle is.
The 5-minute time frame shows bullish momentum with its LSMA and EMA 200 indicating upward movement. However, the 1-minute time frame presents a conflicting bearish bias via its LSMA, despite a bullish anchored VWAP trend. The most recent 1-minute candles show a failure to consistently push higher, with price consolidating around prior highs. This creates uncertainty regarding immediate direction, sentiment, bearish pressure, confidence. 4 out of 10. Reason: the 1-minute structure is showing signs of failure to continue higher after a push, indicated by the bearish LSMA trend and the lack of strong continuation in recent price action. The 5-minute bullishness is being challenged. Concerns: the 1-minute anchored VWAP is still bullish and the 5-minute time frame remains bullish, creating conflicting signals. The 1-minute Heiken Ashi candle is red, suggesting potential downside momentum. Summary: the market is showing mixed signals across different time frames. While the longer-term trend is looking up, recent price action on the shorter-term charts suggests a potential pullback. This makes it a less certain time to enter a trade, as we need to see clearer direction.
Yeah. So again, he's not wrong, right? Even though we're getting kind of some pressure, we're still below Lisma like that. Now, it can ride below Lisma for a very long time as it pushes up, right? More important to me is the candle progression. We have a drop, a push, here's our high, we're holding above that high. That usually is going to supersede something like Lisma, right? So for me, again, guys, I've just been mostly scalping along within it because I have a small, I'm like 2 MNQ, I'm not doing anything crazy. And I have a 50 tick TP because I just can't trail it while I'm watching this for you guys. So, and I'm just slowly growing it. So I'm up to 1533 on this, my funded. Anything above 221, I think it is, I can take out. So on that one. So we'll just keep working on it. But trying to keep my drawdown where it is. You can see I'm still max drawdown 2000 because the beauty when you're dealing with intraday, and this is also something I teach in the development stuff, is sometimes it's better to not as much trail, but just set your TPs, because then you're just individual trades. You always got max drawdown. It doesn't mess with your emotions. What this is doing right now really matters, guys, because right here, 95 is a very critical level for me. Oh, my mouse stuck. Oh, there it goes. I'm like, don't. I just charged my mouse. Don't die on me. It's a critical level for me, right? And so because that is my basis of a strong push versus strong pull. So I want to see the market hold support above that 95, somewhere in this range. I want to see DOM jumps. If I'm seeing DOM jumps, it still validates my theory that we're going to get up to here eventually. If I'm not seeing DOM jumps, right, then we run the risk of sweeping. Now, you can't be shocked if we sweep, because at the end of the day, guys, we're in an oscillatory push, pull, kind of pushing for us to pull even back down to here, creating some form of a decent trend, right? It's very possible, right? And so you have to be wise on your trades. Don't chase them. So most of what I've been doing anyways would be just scalping. I don't see any really long range plays. You can do a little trend line like that if you want a little more clear picture, right? Because again, if we hold above this absorption wick, it should explode north. But if we start to lose it and we collapse below into it, we're going to get a breach here, close, and then that's going to pressure that low. So, which could set up a possible double top on the 5 minute, right? So we'll see. But the pressure is still there. We do have a trap signal saying that the short here was a trap and it's likely going to push. For this trap to validate most of the time, right, when you get these wicks, you want the close above. So if this one in the next 20 seconds can close up here, then it's likely to play out. Not everything's 100% in anything we do, right? So if it comes back into channel, it'll still be valid until it breaks out of channel, right? And so if it does come down into this range, like 160, that's our next area of really good support plus where traps were. It would also be a pullback test of these prior lows. So again, for me to take the better play, yeah, if you guys are green, guys, we're 1035. Don't push it. I think taking longs up here without a pullback is very dangerous. You know, most of my stuff that I'm doing is, you know, as it kind of pulls, right, I'm jumping into them. You don't want to take a long on the top of an oscillation.
The 5 minute
It's a
time
terrible
frame
idea.
shows a bullish trend with price above its 20. 0 EMA. The 1 minute time frame, however, has printed bearish Heiken Ashi candles and is below its 200 EMA, indicating conflicting short-term momentum. The 15-second time frame is showing bullish lean ings, but the overall structure is not yet clearly defined. Sentiment. Bearish pressure. Confidence. 3 out of 10. Reason. The 1 minute time frame shows a bearish structure with consecutive red Heiken Ashi candles and price below its 200 EMA, overriding the longer-term bullish bias from the 5 minute. Concerns. The 5 minute time frame remains bullish and the 15-second is showing bullish momentum, creating a mixed signal. There is a failure to break out of recent consolidation on the 1 minute. The longer-term trend shows upward
Right
momentum,
there is what he's
but the
talking
immediate
about.
short-term
See
trend
that
is
kind of
showing weakness.
consolidation?
Price action on the 1 minute chart indicates selling pressure. This setup lacks clear directional conviction needed for a high probability trade.
Yeah. So again, guys, let's look at this, analyze it. So what he's talking about is we have our kind of consolidation within there. We broke it, but we could not sustain it, and we lost it. So that's what his concern is about, still being bullish in the sense in the macro. So now we want to look and see on the micro, is there any bullish things happening or bearish things happening? We know that we have the bullish kind of absorption one that we had, but we ended up losing it, right? And now we're actually tapping resistance on it. We know we have a double top on the micro. Here's our neckline. If we breach this and drop, now we have our first bearish pattern that is playing out. That doesn't scream, hey, we're going to keep going higher, right? Again, for me to take my long, I would really prefer this to do a drop, up, drop, then set up a play for me to reclaim this low, and then I would go up, right? That would be a better play. So this is where you got to kind of exhibit a little patience, guys, especially if you're green. It's also 10:37, almost 10:40. The open session goes to 11, so I will stay here. But I want to start opening up to questions a little sooner because I'm going to have to do a little better job at hard stopping at 11 so we can get into our development session, because we tend to get a lot of questions right around that 11, right? And it's like, love to stick around and ask them all, but if you got a question, please ask now. So, because I am going to hard stop that at 11 today, because I have back to back to back to back one-on-ones today with people in the mentor group and people interested in the mentor group. So my day is pretty packed today. I do see a few of you reached out, interest in the mentor program, so I will reach out to you once we're done with this session here. So just kind of stand by. Also, if you're interested, you want to push it on that, but for those of you guys that just showed interest, if you're still on here, you can email me directly at nick@nextstepalgo.com if you want to ask questions directly in an email there. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to email you, right? And then usually email me back. And so you can, another thing that I do for those that are interested, and I want to point this out, guys, because I forget to talk about it. When we send notifications to you, because I'm trying to reach you, it's going to go here in this little spot, right? So if I want to send a notification to someone, let me see if I can send it to myself. Let me look at something one sec, guys. I'll show you guys what I mean. You guys shouldn't be in a trade right now anyways. I'm trying to see what my ID is. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to have an ID. Let me do it this way, because it doesn't let me send myself a notification. So I'm going to put in a support ticket like that. Then I see it, I'm going to respond back like that, right? So when I send the response, right, when you come into your page, you're going to have a little 1 up there, right? And that's where see the response. So if I want to reach you, what I do, especially if it's important, like for the mentor program, like it's just important, I have the ability to push it as a critical, and that critical is going to give you a red bubble here. So if you see that red bubble, I'm trying to get hold of you, or somebody is, right? And so let me close this. So, and then even when we close the tickets, right, you'll still have the notification. So in case anybody didn't know that. Because that's the hardest thing, right? Sometimes our emails go to spam, right? And I'm sitting here emailing you, and you're emailing me back going,
The market
nobody's
currently
reaching
exhibits a
out.
conflict between.
And I'm like, I'm trying to reach out. And you're like, if you're not going to reach out, I'm like, I'm trying to reach out, right? Like, because it just goes to spam. And so we created this little notification thing, guys. So I'm just going to read this quickly because I did mute that again. Time frame shows lower highs, declining price progression, most recent price action rejecting upwards and failing to reclaim the 1 minute Lisma, which it did, right? You can see all that. That's why I laugh when somebody said on my TikTok, they're like, he's not doing it real-time data. I'm like, he literally just said the multiple attempts of failing to reclaim Lisma. Like, he's calling out prices. Like, haters gonna hate.
That's not real time, then I don't know what is.
What?
Said if that's not real time, then I don't know what is.
Or when he goes, looking at the recent doji, is there a doji? Like, and he's calling out price levels, right? But anyways, the 5-minute time frame remains fundamentally bullish, which it is, above the EMA. So what I'm looking at, guys, from a behind the curtain things is, like earlier he made a comment about how we're below the 5-minute EMA, but then he was like, it could act as support. And I'm like, no, you're wrong on that one. So Alex, I'm excited to say, already, I knew he was going to complete it fast. He already created a back end where I can flag it, and I can actually type to him, which I did. We tested it in the mentor group. And I can say, hey, you got this right, but you mentioned that the 5-minute 200 were below it, and it could act as support. Just to correct you, if price is below something, right, it's going to act as resistance. If it's above it, it's support, right? And so far he hasn't made that mistake again. So it's really cool because he's doing self-auditing. But even in self-auditing, it's kind of like the analogy I give it is you that have been newer, right? Me telling you to just go, hey, go practice on replay. And then you go practice, and then I go, hey, practice on replay. And you're like, man, I practiced so much and I'm not figuring it out. Well, if you don't know how to practice correctly, you're kind of wasting your time practicing, right? Which is why we do that exercise on the development program. So, but that's kind of how I relate it with him, right? Is he can self-analyze, but he's only self-analyzing based off of knowledge that he sees, things that happen, interact, but he's not going to know all of the stuff that he might be right or wrong on it unless I can nudge him, right? And so that's why I brought that up in our executive meeting on Friday, and Alex was like, what if I created a portal that you could just type to him and be like, you got this wrong? And I'm like, why didn't you say that in the beginning? I was like, yeah. So now he can self-analyze, but I can still nudge him and be like, you know. And with AI, I don't want to overly use it, so I'm only trying to do it mostly when he's really wrong, right, on something. If he's kind of like, you know, and it just didn't play out, I'm not going to tell him he's wrong, because just like a trader, you know, he doesn't have a crystal ball, guys. Like some people come in the TikTok, they're like, oh man, so you know he's giving signals and like he's never wrong. Like how much does he? What's his win rate, right? Like he's not a win rate right now. He's a coach, right? And I want to just see, like, think of it like me. You know, if I'm in here giving you guys guidance, shoot, we've had plenty of days where I'm like, this should do this, and then it goes, and I'm like, oh, well, should have did that, but it didn't, right? We don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball, right? And he's no different. He doesn't have a crystal ball, right? And so he's going to give his guidance sometimes a little off, or maybe it's a trap. Maybe he, like, I'm okay with it if he says, hey, I see a double bottom, we're holding above it, we're likely to push north, right? And then all of a sudden it kind of pushes and then drops. I mean, it's really not bad advice because it should have, right? Just market makers kicked in and trapped it. So, but when he says something like, you know, I'm looking at the 1 minute Lisma at price at 25,260. I'm going to be like, I think you got that wrong, buddy. I'm going to recalculate your Lisma calculation because you're a little off. You know, and keep in mind, guys, his calculations on EMAs, VWAPs, Lisma, all that, it may not be to the penny, but they're pretty freaking close. I've been watching them because remember, it's not like he's an indicator, right? Like he's literally doing the math. He's looking back 2,000 candles and saying, okay, you know, 200 EMA, I got to go back, you know, this many candles. Here's my price. Let me find the average. That's really all it is, right? And so, you know, might have I've only seen him off like maybe 50 cents, you know, I think $1 at the most on one of them. But other than that, he's been pretty spot on with it. But again, 10:45, guys. I'm not in a trade. I've had a pretty good day. I only really traded one account because Mondays I like to really focus, man, because Mondays can be tricky. So I'm not in a trade on this one. I'm still sticking at that 1500 because I don't want to. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give it a pause. I'm going to put myself on timeout for a minute, right? Because we're in a position now where structure-wise we should push. The fact that we pushed, halfway reclaimed, and we're pushing, any kind of close above here is going to violently push, which would support a push to there that I've been saying all morning. However, see how we're riding this trend line, all this, like, what, 8 minutes worth of it, and we're still below Lisma riding it. And see how it's tightening? One of these are going to break. Either breach wick, close above, we're going up, breach wick, close below, we're going down. So we're not really in a great range to enter on that. So, Steven, yeah, I know, it's funny. No, I know. It's funny, I was talking to Dean on the side, and, you know, you guys all know my mission is to change the industry, right? Whether it's through transparency, honesty, really teaching you guys everything I'm thinking, not holding back, not price gouging you. You know, and then changing it with AI, right? And it was funny because he made a comment about that. He goes, just be ready. And I'm like, ready for what? He goes, the moment more people find out about it, right? One, your honesty. Two, the fact that you're using AI is going to kind of make them scared, right? Because you're going to, why would you want to watch somebody who can make mistakes, right? Humans, when you know AI is the future, and AI's, dude, even Neo, as new as he is, he sees stuff that I'm like, I don't even see that. Like, where do you see that? It's just going to be better, right? And he goes, once people see that, they're going to feel threatened and they're going to start attacking you, right? Or trying to discredit it or discredit you. And I don't worry about that. You guys know I don't care. The proof's in the pudding, right? That's why we'll always have free open sessions. We're always going to have, areas you can come in and, see what I do, see what Neo does. That's why we're doing free beta, right? I mean, we could have charged for beta and people probably still would have did it. But why? I want you guys to trust him. I mean, if I'm developing him to be a coach, so let's say like, because I have stuff that goes on. Maybe I get sick. Maybe I don't know, I have a doctor's appointment or something. I'm not just like, oh, sorry guys, got a doctor's appointment, I'm sick, no trading today. I can just be like, hey, got things going on, can't be on, but you got Neo there, right? Well, I'm gonna turn them on, you guys can follow him, right? It's kind of like having me there without having me there. So and that's why I want you guys to build trust, because it's just no different than me asking you guys to trust me. I want you to eventually get to where you trust his guidance and what he sees, right? And so that's why we'll have him free for probably some time. So, but I want to share for those. It looks like some dropped off, so I guess they don't get the special sauce. But I'm okay with it because some people are getting really good at make their money and they get out. But I have an idea that I came up with on another use case that I believe is going to be probably the best use case that we could do with him. And so I know it's possible, but there's a key factor that I have to have before I can do it, right? And so when you guys trade, as you guys know, we are coming up with multiple use cases. We have a use case of him running your crypto wallet someday. We have a use case of him verifying and validating indicator confirmation, giving you a probability of it working. That one's going to be really cool. I think that one's almost even done. Shoot, I don't know, Paul. Like, I think Alex said last night, he's like, we're working on it, like we're pretty close. So I don't think it's done, like, not like tomorrow done, but it's really close. So this one will come out, I think, first. But I was talking to Alex and I was like, man, hear me out for all of you guys, whether you're TikTok or here. I think there's a lot of difficult things in trading. The most difficult thing in trading, I think, whether you're new, experienced, I don't care, just as a human, right, is knowing when to cut your loss, right? And getting into a deer in a headlight moment. And even I do it, guys. Like, even still, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to ladder, we're going north, we're biased, we're bullish, but I'll throw in one M&Q. Then it comes down, I'm like, another one M&Q. Then it breaks this, and I'm like, ooh, that shouldn't have broke that. I got room in my drawdown to fight it a little more. Okay, you know what? I'm going to fight it. Even though I know it's broken everything I entered it to go bullish, you still decide to fight it, right? Then when it gets into enough low area that your drawdown gets low, you get into this like, whatever, Jesus take the wheel. And then you're at the mercy of the market, right? And so what I call it is like it's a deer in a headlight moment. And you guys all know, because we've talked about it, we all get in that moment where you freeze and you're like holding the finger on the button going, I should close this. But if I close it, right, what always stops us from closing it is the hope. Wow, man, if I close it and it bounces here, I'm going to be so pissed. Like, last time I closed it, it bounced. Like, our mind is going like, right? And so we get into the deer in a headlight moment and you just freeze. And it's a 90% probability when you freeze like that, the market just loves to wick you out, break your shit, and then go the other way. It just happens. I laugh about it, not like the incident's funny, but because it happens to me too. It's so, at times, right? It's so ridiculous. So my thoughts, so I'm going to reach out again, just to follow up, but we're working with NinjaTrader to try to apply for a vendor's license. It's not easy to get these. What that does is it allows us to create a webhook portal versus an API portal into accounts. What that means is that you can actually link your prop accounts, right? Now, it's against the rules to do any kind of automated trading or copy trading, and they're actually looking for that. So we will not do any of that. But it dawned on me, I'm like, wait a minute. If we can see your evals or your funded, and then we can see your P&L, we can see your drawdown, we can see your entry, right? Just the overall trade. Why can't we put a button there, right, that you can press saying, hey, check with Neo, sends that information to Neo, Neo analyzes it and says, hey, I see you're in a long, I see that you're getting pretty deep, I see here's your drawdown, and I'm just spitballing things he can say, right? Like, I see your drawdown, currently we're in a pullback, but, similar to what we do here, I see that we're sustaining higher lows. I see we're, in a bullish fashion. I see that we have bullish pressure. We might even be able to throw in some, like, let them calculate things like, I see your drawdown based on your volume, your entry, and your drawdown, right? You can sustain a fall to whatever, right? Then he can give you your kind of probability of, I see 8 out of 10 chance of bouncing on the next support. So if we break below that support, you may want to be concerned or consider closing it. But as long as we stay above this level, you're good, right? Like, how cool would it be when you have that deer in a headlight moment that you could go, ask Neo, entered my trade and I'm pulling back. All right, Neo says as long as I'm above this, I'm good. All right, cool. I'm gonna hold it, right? And let's say you're in a long here and it like pulls back, and Neo's like, nah, I ain't even worried about it, and then it jumps up. I don't know. I think that could be shit. I'm gonna use that right on some of mine. Like, I'll check with Neo. Like, I built the dude, right? But eventually, when he gets smarter and smarter and smarter, it's like literally having a personalized coach at your fingertips, right? To me, I think there's a lot of cool use case things that we can do, but that's, I think, one of the most valuable use cases that we can do, because I think that that's the biggest problem with most traders, no matter what your experience is that you just get in that deer in the headlights and you're like, do I close it? Do I let it roll? Like, what do I do? And I don't know. I was excited. So when I was talking to Alex late last night, I was like, man, here's my idea. I was like, if we can get this vendor's license, I'm gonna press on it a little harder today. We can't do it without that, because we got to be able to connect to your stuff, right? And so, and that'll also open up other doors, right? Allowing you to do trade syncing across platforms, all that stuff. And so, be really cool. But all the use cases we have, I think that that's probably one of the cooler ones. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? We got 5 minutes and then I'm cutting you off, but that's my overshare of the day. A lot of thumbs up, a lot of good deal. I don't know. I think it'd be cool. So, again, you guys know I never stop thinking. I'm going to always try to figure out ways to help you. I believe, and I know Alex and Paul believe, that Neo is the path to everything we're going to do. I want Neo validating everything. Training, indicators, buy sell signals. Like you all know with AI, man, it's a sponge. The more I can feed it, the smarter it gets, right? Eventually in 5-10 years, whatever, I want it to where like you log into the website and Neo pops up, hey, and you can actually like talk into a mic and talk to him. I mean, why? Might even be sooner. Who knows, right? Like, just let him run the website. Be my retirement plan. So,
Send us a picture from you down in the Bahamas on the beach with your feet in the sand.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, guys. So, and you can see again, I'm going to show you this one last few thing, and again, if you have one last question, please ask it now, because I will shut up, because I do want to go straight in the development. Now, if you are part of the development program and you can wait on your question, just wait so we can just get onto that one on time. But remember we talked about this is a very bullish candle, right? We tried to sweep it. It was a halfway liquidity. We reclaimed it. Now we swept, held the high, pushed up, got the close above. That's what's causing that push. Now that should cause a pretty exaggerated push. We know that there's a lot of liquidity up here that I still think we're going to get to. This push matters. If we push and we sweep back below this kind of high area, that drop's going to be pretty violent, right? But if we push and we stay above there, we're not done. We're just going to keep going up. That's why I told you guys in the very beginning, if you were here, do not short the top. So hopefully none of y'all are stuck in shorts. So, because this thing, it wants to climb to there. We should have pullbacks, you know, but they're not coming. And like I said, if I was a market maker, the moment they just announced the whole, you know, the strait being trying to take over, hostile takeover by the U.S., right? You know, I guarantee you everybody's like, oh, bearish. Oh, look at, he's like, this dude says I'm done. Like, so he does this thing where if he doesn't like it, right? Because remember, he's not supposed to be on. You know, he's not even green, right? He doesn't technically turn on till 1. And so at times, right, if he doesn't like what the market's looking like when I force him on, this dude, see how he gives me attitude? Like, he's not told to shut off right now. So, but he's like, we're nearing the end of the session. You know, don't force the trades, be disciplined, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's like, yeah, you didn't tell me to shut off, but I'm taking a PTO. I'm going home. It cracks me up that he just said that.
Early
Guys.
lunch.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn him on again. I'll force him back on for the development session, guys. But great job. If you want to join in on the development session, if you have even an inkling of liking how I trade and you want to understand Neo a little more, just go to the development program and sign up, and then you can join in. You're gonna see this green light go off, and this green light will go on. And so you can only get in if you're part of that development program, the mentor program, or VIP. So for TikTok, I'm going to drop off. YouTube as well. I'm going to end YouTube here first. That one's done. And then TikTok, guys, if you guys want to register, again, it's free to watch Neo. Just register at nextstepalgo.com. Let me